Welcome inside the coach's office for another edition of the Pikiell podcast presented by Horizon. Talking to the head coach of, as we tape this, the 3-0 Scarlet Knight, Steve Pikiell. Coach, how are you?
Doing well. The grind of the season. Got a little cold here. It's that kind of time of the year. You don't sleep much. On to the next game. But excited about where our team is now. No big challenges moving forward, but a lot of good things. We seem to be healthy at the moment, so knock on wood. Hopefully it stays that way, and we'll continue to get better.
How would you characterize so far 3-0 start? You've played very well. It was very interesting working the games with Gio Baker as I did. It was halftime of the opener against Wagner, and he said, the only thing I don't like about this team, not this team, but the game so far, not a lot of assists. And from that point forward, it's crazy. You guys have really shared the basketball from that point. What have you liked about your team through these first three games?
We really have, and we've run. We're getting up and down the court, and we got a lot of guys. I think early part of the year, what people don't realize is you got a whole new rotation, got a lot of newcomers, got a lot of first-time guys. You're figuring the other team out too, which has a lot of new guys. You don't have a lot of tape on them, so you're guessing a lot with what you're going to see defensively and offensively. So there's so many challenges anyways, and then when you add Ace didn't play the first two games, and then Jeremiah Williams doesn't play the third game, it just, is a lot. And so I like that we've improved, our assist to turnover ratio. I like the fact that we have a different guy every night who you could call, player of the game. I love the versatility of this team. We have shooters, downhill drivers, post-up guys. So we kind of cover a lot of bases, and I really like the fact that we're making free throws. That's been a big Achilles heel for us, the last few years. So, we got to continue to get better. The defensive end, we've shown some signs. There's some minutes, 22-0 runs, and where our defense has looked good. We got to become more consistent. We got to rebound better. And we got to make improvements everywhere. That's the exciting thing, and I think we really can as we're really getting to know this team.
Ranked number 24 through the first three games in the country, which is pretty cool. And Dylan Harper, freshman of the week in the Big Ten. Just talk about, I know the expectations for him and Ace are obviously through the roof, but so far, he's 20 points per game or more in each of these three. Just how he has started so positively.
Yeah, first of all, he's just a great kid, a great teammate, and obviously, a guy who's been around basketball for a long time, really knows how to, get in the lane and score. But his assist to turnover ratio the last two games has been as good as there is. Excited. I think his best basketball too is ahead of him as he continues to learn the nuances of big time Division I basketball. And Ace comes off his injury and scores 17 points and does so many things for us too. And Lathan Somerville, been very consistent. His improvement since June 15th is off the charts too. And, got to keep heading in that direction with all those guys because I think their best basketball's ahead of them.
As we get into, what's ahead, which we will in a second, just one other thing about the depth of the team. It's pretty wild because so much of the focus has been on Ace and Dylan. But as you point out, all these other guys have just played so well. Jordan Durkak has been outstanding. PJ Hayes, you can tell he's a sharpshooter. Zach Martini the other night. Jamichael Davis. You mentioned Jeremiah. The depth that you have, and clearly it's like putting a puzzle together with all the different pieces. How difficult has it been for you through three games, as you said, not even having a complete team yet because of people in and out so far?
Yeah, such quality depth. And it bodes well when you lose starter in Jeremiah Williams and you got another guy. We have 8 guys that could make huge arguments for starting right now. They're playing at high levels, high level of efficiencies too. Our bench has been great. Scores every game, comes to play. They rebound, they pass. J. Mike is a defensive guy. He brings that defensive element off the bench, but his assist to turnover ratio is off the charts too. PJ, instant offense, and he's rebounding too now, and he gets some assists. Jordan does a little bit of everything, and tough as nails. And Lathan comes off, and he does his thing. And then Tyson Acuff is a really good player coming off a 3-month non-weight bearing. 3 months of not even being able to walk. So as he keeps rounding into shape and his leg starts feeling better and better, he can do some things too. So nice to have. Look down the bench and see some answers. And didn't have that last year as much.
We'll have Merrimack, of course, on Wednesday night at Jersey Mike's Arena. And I know this is a topic every single time we talk. We give them credit. But I got to tell you, it's one thing to have sellouts. It's another thing to look up and not see a seat, like an open seat in the building. Friday, they've all been good. Friday night was spectacular, though, against Monmouth in this building for a non-conference game.
Yeah. I will tell you, I mean, the students have been, and the Riot Squad, they have been spectacular. And they got there early on Friday. I mean, they were there early and they were loud, and that helps. And our season ticket holders are been through it and do an awesome job. But the environment, every coach that I talk to afterwards says, tip of the hat, to your marketing people and to the people that get all these people to the games and the students. It's one of the hardest venues to play, and we need to, that's a huge advantage. I mean, Purdue has it big time out there. We have it, and we got to continue that. And I'm hoping for Merrimack, like we get an awesome crowd, and they're loud, and they appreciate these guys. And, you got to really appreciate this team. We're ranked in the top 25. Let's get a top 25, student crowd and top 25 atmosphere, top 5 atmosphere. That's what you get when you put a good product on the floor.
All right, so we've got, as we mentioned, Merrimack coming up on Wednesday night. After that, you got the Kennesaw State and then Vegas. Let's take it one at a time. Number one, Merrimack. Obviously, it's a big game for Jordan, playing against the team he came from. How important is it for you also to stress to the team? It's one thing when you're at game 1, 2, and 3, but now when you're at the last game here, before hitting the road, making sure that they are still focused on the task at hand.
Yeah, I mean, we still got to understand, like, we have a target now on our back. When you're a ranked team and these other teams come into your building, like, this an unbelievable opportunity for them. They will play their best basketball. I tell our teams always. I saw all the St. Pete's tapes, and they played well against Seton Hall, but they were going to play their best basketball game. Monmouth, I watched all the tapes. They played their best game. They're local teams. They read a lot about us. They're going to be focused. The ball's going to go in, our team still got to understand that. And you understand that with experience. You understand that with a team that's been through some things. But when you got 9 newcomers and, so I'm trying to just keep them that warning sign on all the time. You got to come ready to play. You got to practice like a top 25 team. You got to compete like it. Everyone comes in the building trying to get what's yours. And you got to kind of take that approach. And Merrimack's well coached. Every year they win 20 games. They play a zone defense. They got one of the best point guards in the country in Bud Clark. And they will be up and they will give us an unbelievable challenge. And every team we've played is going to help us down the road too. So teams play different styles, and all these teams have played different styles. And then in our league, everyone plays different styles. So these games give us an advantage moving forward.
And they're starting to come quick because Wednesday night into Sunday afternoon and Tuesday, Wednesday. So you got a lot of games in a short little window here. How about the trip to Kennesaw State? You got Ace, Jermichael Davis. You talk about the X on your back. I mean, you're going into their building. I know it's a homecoming for them, but there's no doubt Kennesaw State wants to make a statement against you guys.
I mean, I'm first of all thankful. We tried to get games all over, Tennessee and Georgia. No one was willing to do it, and Kennesaw was glad at the opportunity. They're thrilled we're ranked, and now you're going on the road. Anytime you go on the road, it's a whole different environment, and not many Big Ten teams go on the road to Kennesaw. So it is going to be a huge night. Our team needs to understand that too. But I want to take our team on the road before we hit the road. And, these neutral site games are road games. You're jumping in a plane, you're sleeping in another bed. You have no familiarity with the rims. So when you go on the road, just a totally different environment, different referees, different environment to shoot in. So it causes many issues. So we got to be focused. But you know me, I'm one game at a time.
Sure.
We got Merrimack Wednesday, and then we'll worry about that obstacle after.
All right, but let's talk about it from a coaching standpoint from this angle. You have Merrimack Wednesday, you've got Kennesaw State Sunday. You're playing Notre Dame and Alabama out there, which is hard enough. You don't know who you're playing on Saturday. How about the challenges as a staff in terms of being ready for each game as they come and not knowing about that Saturday game?
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. It just causes more work. I got a great staff. We're already kind of locked into what we need to do, but we're very much a one game at a time. You're not going to have much prep no matter who you play. anyways, when you play back-to-backs in a couple days, and especially traveling to Kennesaw first, you got to make sure your guys are prepared to play good basketball. You got to make sure they're healthy, getting their sleep, getting their water and their hydration and all that stuff. And then, you try to put in whatever time you can, with the scout. But you better be pretty good by that time, because there's not a lot of time to scout.
How different is a trip like this? I don't know if it's Stony Brook or when you played at UConn, if you ever went on what's essentially an 8-9 day trip. It's a long trip. Yeah. How different is it in terms of the schedule, keeping the guys together, being away for so long?
I mean, very different. I haven't done this. I like to be home on Thanksgiving with my family, and I think the guys would like to be home with their families, So we've done that for years. It's the first time we've done that. This is kind of a unique tournament and a unique time of the year. Las Vegas is a unique venue, too. But going to be very different. Like, we usually go on the road for a couple days, and then you're back. So Randy's worried about academics. The nutrition people are worried about that. And Dave Van Dyke is worried about their sleep habits. So you worry about everything. When you're on the road for 9 days, it's, it's probably good for my marriage, because my wife doesn't need to see me for 9 days. So it probably helps in that way. But any other way, it's not where you want to be. But it's the obstacles in the journey of this season, and we're looking forward to it.
All right, as we continue on the Pikiell podcast presented by Horizon, you're not wrong about any of that. Let's talk about the 25-26 class that was announced. Javante Ware, Lino Mark, Hayden Powers, and Chris Newley. Very excited, I'm sure, about introducing these guys.
Well, I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting where our program's been. And now, we can go out to the West Coast. Mm-hmm. 3 players from out in those areas, in Seattle and in California. And then, get a player out of North Carolina, too. It's the footprint of the Big Ten. I think people are excited about our program. There are really good players, too, but they fit. They fit Rutgers. Lino is tough as nails and defends and is an athlete. And Chris is maybe the best athlete in the entire class. And Caden can really, shoot the ball. Like, he's a big-time shooter with really good athleticism. And Javante can play multiple positions, skilled, and puts it down, shoots it, big, strong. So, I still like recruiting freshmen. I know a lot of programs have gone straight portal, and they don't, but I still like bringing in players that are going to be here and hopefully work hard and continue to keep Rutgers on a great path, basketball-wise. So real happy, great families, great kids from all over the country, too. You see the Rutgers brand, too, now, both academically and athletically everywhere. And it's kind of exciting when you can sneak into those kind of places and get a kid to come out east here. Exciting times ahead for sure. Looking forward to the trip. We will do this again. We'll recap it in a couple of weeks. But as always, appreciate your time and looking forward to it. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. This has been another edition of the Pikiell Podcast presented by Horizon.